Sometimes people ask if they can foster to adopt at Skookum, and the answer is yes, with some explanation. That phrase is a bit of a misnomer because foster to adopt isn't really a thing. There's only one kind of foster care in Washington State. When you foster to adopt, you don't get a separate license or get put in a separate category or care for a different kind of child or really do anything different except secretly desire to adopt a child. And that's true whether you're working with Skookum or the state or any of our sister agencies. And Skookum Kids is not an adoption agency. We do occasionally facilitate adoptions, and we relish that opportunity when it comes up, but that's not what we're here for. Skookum Kids is a foster care agency, and the purpose of foster care is to help children reunify with their biological parents, their family of origin. The goal of foster care is to help families reunify, period, always. When kids in foster care return to their families, we celebrate. That is what we work toward. That is the ultimate success. And when that's not possible, when kids in foster care, they're unable to reunify, that means foster care has not been successful in its primary objective. And so we seek permanence by some other means for the child. And the beauty of foster care is even when we are unsuccessful in helping a child to reunify with their family of origin, we can still create a happy ending for that child. Adoption is very often a happy ending. The goal is to help the child reunify. And even in situations where a child is adopted by their foster parents, most adoption agreements in Washington State are open, which means that bio mom and dad still have contact with their children even after they're adopted on a predetermined schedule and when they've met certain conditions. That means to be a foster parent with Skookum means that you are quite likely to have some sort of relationship with biological parents of the children in your home. To that end, we're hosting a training workshop on February 26th about how to go about building these kinds of relationships. There's a link in the description. And a huge and growing body of research shows that open lines of communication between foster and biological parents creates better outcomes for kids. They do better in school, they exhibit fewer troubling behaviors, they're healthier, they're better socially adjusted. Kids in foster care have a very similar psychological profile to kids in divorced homes. If mom and dad get along and parent together, kids do much better. But if mom and dad are fighting or not on the same page about parenting, or even, worst case, they're using the child as a pawn in negotiations, that's confusing for a child and stressful, and children their development will slow or even regress in every developmental category. And it works very similarly with kids in foster care. If foster and bio parents are not getting along, they're not collaborating, they're in conflict with one another, kids can sense that, and it creates toxic stress. And there is a posture toward foster care that some people take, which is one of rescuing children from bad parents. And if that is your posture, you are not going to be very successful as a foster parent anywhere. And you are going to find yourself in direct conflict with Skookum, because our goal is to help bio parents and their children to reunify. And if you're not working toward that, if you make yourself an enemy of reunification, you make yourself an enemy of Skookum. Now, plenty of people become foster parents because they want to expand their family. They want to adopt a child out of foster care, and that is a perfectly legitimate desire. And you can be very successful fostering at Skookum or any place with that objective. Some people call that objective, having that kind of desire, they call it foster to adopt. But foster to adopt, like doing that, requires some emotional and psychological gymnastics, because you have to work contrary to your own interests for a while. If you desire to adopt, you've got to give your full effort toward reunification, toward making sure that, like, an attempt to keep that from happening. And that's difficult for some people to do. And you have to do that, and you've got to be comfortable with what I call coin flip odds. In Washington, about 50% of children in foster care successfully reunify. And that means the child in your home has a 1 in 2 chance of returning home, and they have a 1 in 2 chance of being adopted somewhere else. So if you can work against your own interests for somewhere between 0 and 36 months, and if you are comfortable with coin flip odds, you can successfully foster to adopt at Skookum. If you would like to explore this topic further, there's lots to talk about. Come to the workshop, February 26th, 7 p.m., Perch and Play. A member of our staff who's an expert on the subject of building productive working relationship with bio parents is teaching. It's going to be great. Hope we get to see you there.